Hey guys, welcome to Massive Iron live from Scotland. Let's see if the 4G holds up. Let's see if the 4G holds up. I am indeed in Scotland. Trying not to be distracted by my wife, whatever she's doing over there. We're in an Airbnb in Ullapool, Scotland. Day 7 of my Scotland trip. Thought I'd fire up a live video early today. Hoping to reach some of my European folks and some of my international folks and some of my American folks before Super Bowl hits. I'm sitting. We hit 65K this week running through Scotland, and to say my legs are dead is an understatement. What's going on, Modern Stoic? Happy Sunday in Morocco. I'll be on as long as what's going on, Perseverance. Cheers to you. I'm testing a few of the local drinks and not going too crazy, but ran 13K today. Hope everybody's doing well. Chiefs are 49ers, man. I got to go with Chiefs. They look like an offensive juggernaut, so we'll see. Let me know what you guys think. I'll be on as long as you guys want. And before I dive into things, if I'm a little bit quiet, I'm in an Airbnb trying to be respectful. Thanks, Kevin. It's going to be hard to leave Scotland. Just before I dive into things, new members only section, hit the join. It's only $1.99 a month. Members only content, exclusive deals, and all that kind of good stuff. So I'll be on as long as you guys want. I'll post up any questions, diet, nutrition, training, supplement, off topic, what I think about Scotland, what's my favorite beer, I don't care, whatever. I'll be here as long as you guys want to fire away questions. A reminder as well, I'm accepting clients. I have 2 client slots. So if you are interested, hit me up at Ben the Barman, at Ben the Barman, on Instagram, at Ben the Barman, or email me, benthebarman@gmail.com. Graham says, where in Scotland are you? Day 7, we started in Inverness, went down to Kirkmichael, went down to Edinburgh. From there, we went to Fort William. Yesterday, we were in Isle of Skye, and today we are in Ullapool. And tomorrow we'll be up at Durness, and then John O'Groats, and then back to Inverness, and then out. So basically, seeing the entire country. Haggis hunting. Yeah, man, it's actually harder to find restaurants outside of the big cities right now. We are struggling a little bit, but we did manage to find a restaurant today near Strathcarron. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, so don't want to offend anybody, but we got some haggis bonbons, right? Yeah, we got some haggis bonbons. Those were really good. All right, guys, fire up your training, nutrition, diet, whatever questions, off topic questions. I'll be on as long as you want. Let me know who you're going to win the Super Bowl. Let me know where you guys are chiming in for what country. How's it going, Paul? Hello in Ireland. Paul's going to be a new client of mine. Glad to have him on board. And let's see. Sebastian Rue. If I do 5 sets of squats in a single workout, how many sets does it count for quads, glutes, etc.? Don't When it comes to squats, if you're thinking in a bodybuilding type of way, don't think about them, as far as glutes and hamstrings. Just think about them in terms of quads, and that's just my opinion. I would go on and do during the week six additional sets or so for hamstrings. Obviously, squats are taxing your hamstrings to a varying degree, but when I'm doing programming, we need some set of some set of rules or a structure. So I consider my squats a quad lift when it comes to bodybuilding, and then I add in 6 sets of hamstrings after that. So don't take that the wrong way. Doesn't mean squats are not taxing the the hamstrings, or working the hamstrings. They are. That's just kind of the structure I use when I'm programming. So I hope that helps a little bit. And I don't do direct glute training. Between all the posterior chain work, deadlifts and squats and Romanian deadlifts, your booty's going to be juicy. That's about all you need. Let's see. Swolagorn, TWL. Have you seen Giant's Causeway? I've only seen pictures. Man, we've seen so much, but I'm not sure what city Giant's Causeway is in. Maybe somebody could educate me and let me know. We've been seeing as much as we can, but I do not recall anything called Giants Causeway. We might have accidentally seen it, so somebody let me know what city it's in. Let's see. Hello from Croatia. Hello, Croatia. And hello from Sweden. How's it going, Peter? Let's see. Dwayne Harper. I'm drinking Caesar Augustus Lager IPA Hybrid. It's not bad. It's not great. It's drinkable. Dwayne Harper. I thought of full body 4 days a week with legs in 2 days a week and the other 2 days arms. Chest and back 4 days. Still working out. As long as your weekly volume is fine, on average per body part, you're going to be absolutely fine there. Just make sure you're not crushing too much volume for your upper body. Graham says, come to Glasgow and fix my squat. Pay for our ticket, and we would be happy to come to Glasgow to fix everybody's squat. Wish I could. We've talked about Ireland, and maybe that will be on the to-do list sometime in the near future. But 10 days in Scotland right now, pretty much breaking the bank. Stephen, how strict do you stay diet-wise when away or on vacation? Pretty darn strict. I mean, we've run 65K this week.
Yes.
And it's been some pretty intense. We've done a Corbett, a really high 2,500 foot hill. Pretty intense work. We have gone to Tesco. Let me just show you. We've gone to Tesco, and in the morning we've been doing. We like the breakfasts in Scotland, so we get them when we can. A lot of protein-rich foods, eggs and sausage and stuff like that. We have high protein yogurt, which we mix with nuts or seeds when we don't have that going on. We've also scrambled to get our protein intake up, so we're doing protein bars and protein drinks when we have to, usually after a run when we're in the middle of nowhere. We've been trying to do just one meal out a night. Last night I did a seafood tomato-based soup with mussels and salmon and a local fish. And then for dinner, I did lamb stew. So we're trying to be pretty good. Have we had any desserts here?
None.
No desserts.
None.
I'm having a couple beers a night, but I ran 13K today, so it's not like we're going absolutely crazy. But yeah, we're staying pretty strict. I mean, we're not turning this vacation into a binge eating festival. Actually, it's really, we haven't seen hardly any fast food places. It's hard enough just to see a restaurant, so we really have to stay prepared in Scotland. All right, guys, fire up your questions. Post your questions. I will stay on until your questions are all done. Smith Iron 704. Can you build muscle using barbell complexes only? Questions like this, I always want to ask why. Why? Muscle is built over the course of 4 or 5 years. Complexes can be good, but complexes can be limiting, because if you're doing a certain amount of weight for one exercise where you can do a push press, it's going to limit what you can do over time on a front squat. So it's going to be very limiting. A complex is going to sink to the lowest level. Whatever is the limiter in the chain as far as exercise strength is going to limit what you can perform on the rest of the body. It's a conditioning exercise. It's kind of a finisher, but as far as building muscle, you would have to really perform some major league calculus to build muscle over the course of 4 or 5 years with complexes only. Questions like that, generally, my question is why? Why would you only do complexes? Why? Why reinvent the wheel? Go with what we know. That's my best advice. Perseverance. I've now got exertion headaches and migraines from doing deadlifts since a head injury. Will they ever go away? Good question. I don't know if you guys saw my video with Chris Gethin where we had a deadlift challenge, and we were racing to 100 reps, and I got a exertion headache at about 90 reps. It felt like lightning struck my head, and that didn't go away for like 3 months. I had a client that's been dealing with that type of thing. It could be neck related. I'm not sure, but you have to be really, really careful about those things. And, I don't want to play with anything like that in my head. So be really careful, listen to your body, and take care of yourself. And if any exercise is triggering it, you might want to back off for a while. But yeah, they generally go away. And you might want to see a doctor about it as well. How would you structure a peaking block? Generally, 8 to 12 weeks. What I start with is on the major lifts, I start with 4 sets. And I have this is just the way I do it for my clients. I start with 4 sets on the major lifts. And we start with moderate intensity, maybe 80%. And over time, over 8 to 12 weeks, we move from 4 sets of moderate intensity to 1 to 2 sets of high intensity, while also backing down slowly the volume of the assistance work. So we're going more intense. Let me do the graph this way. We're going more intense and less volume, and we're doing lower volume on the assistance work. So what we're going to do at the end of that peaking program is we're really going to be letting our strength shine, reducing our overall fatigue. That's the way I structure it. So 4 sets. I start about 4 sets on major lifts with pretty moderate intensity, and then I move over the course of 8 to 12 weeks to pretty intense stuff, while slowly reducing the volume of assistance work. So I hope that helps some. Let's see, Fabian, hi there. Well, for once I'm on time. Yeah, I kind of snuck this in. It's like 7 o'clock over here, 7:15 right now, and I don't think the Super Bowl starts till near midnight here. We'll be sawing logs. But glad to have you on board. You guys post all the questions you want. I will be here as long as you have questions. Giants Causeway is in IREL. Can you search that on a map, Fiona, and see where IREL is? He said Northern Ireland. Sorry. I Love the Tree said that's in Northern Ireland. No, we're in Scotland, so we're nowhere near that, and we won't be hitting Scotland this time around. Said, hello from Canada. What's going on, Canada? Any tips for avoiding shoulder pain or shoulder problems? Yeah. Shoulder pain, shoulder problems. First and foremost, you probably want to increase the number of reps per set you're doing for your overhead press movements. I don't like anything really under 8 reps for overhead press movements. I think doing less intense work, but more volume based, and trying to progress in that's a little bit more friendly over time for shoulders. One of the biggest causes of shoulder issues is the bench press. So become obsessed with bench press form. Don't hesitate to use, if you're in it for strength building, don't hesitate to use lifts like the Spotto press. I used that for years. I didn't even know what it was, where I would stop the bench a few inches off my chest. People would make fun of me, call me an idiot. And then Spotto was doing it. And they'd be like, maybe the big, hairy, ugly dude's not an idiot after all, right? It all depends on who's doing this shit, right, to determine who's an idiot. But you want to get your bench press form down. You definitely want to do that. What else to keep your shoulders healthy? I like doing a lot of overhead work for volume with 8 to 10 reps, because a lot of times we do so much pressing work, horizontal pressing work, we're not doing enough vertical pressing work to match. My shoulders have always been super healthy, and I've always done a really good balance between horizontal pressing and vertical pressing. So do that, keep that balance, do enough vertical pressing each week, keep your keep your obsession with bench press form, and don't do any crazy shoulder exercises like narrow grip upright rows or anything like that. Really, the bench press is a big prime contributor to shoulder issues. One thing I really don't want you guys doing is front lateral raises in any way, shape, or form. You don't have to do them. If you check any advanced lifter, they have really overdeveloped front delts from all the horizontal pressing, all the vertical pressing. If you just do this, you can feel those big, beefy front delts coming into play. You don't need extra front delt work. If anything, you need extra rear delt work. So I hope that helps some. All right. Paul says Giants Causeway isn't in Scotland. Thanks for clearing that up. All right, Josh Levette. Keep the questions coming, guys. I'll stay on as long as you can put up with my big, hairy, ugly ass. If someone has lost a lot of weight, from 195 to 155 to be specific, yet they are still around 17 to 20% body fat, would you recommend they take a break from diet? If you are at, well, if you're at 155 and you're not as lean as you want to get, at that point, here's the thing, and a lot of this depends on how much muscle mass you have, because body fat percentage is comprised of lean body mass, which includes muscle mass, and body fat. So to improve your body fat levels, you can build muscle, you can lose fat. When you're down around 17%, say, it doesn't take much extra fat to lean you out. So if you're down around 155, an extra 10 pounds of fat might, lower that body fat percentage to 12%. Just know that. But at that point, I would not lose any more than 10 pounds. If you lose 10 more pounds of fat and you still look like shit in the mirror, no offense, I don't know what you're going to look like, but if you look like shit in the mirror after losing 10 pounds, it's definitely time to attack a long-term or depending on your goals, a short-term lean bulk to add some muscle mass, 5 to 10 pounds of muscle. Because looking good isn't just about losing fat, it's about having muscle mass as well. You can carry around 20% body fat and have a lot of mass and look much better than someone at 145 at 12% body fat. So it's not just about percentage, it's about muscle mass, but your goals are different than my goals. So just use some common sense. Let me know if you need any help. Sebastian Rue, do bent over rows work biceps, or are the forearms essentially hanging? Everything's worked in bent over rows. Bent over rows are a really heavy compound movement. Biceps come into play, and the forearms, obviously, your grip comes into play. One thing I teach people is you don't want the bulk of the stress to be on your biceps. So when you're doing bent over rows, don't pull. Okay, don't pull. You see that bicep engaging right there? That's the primary. When you're pulling, just do that. Just think about pulling. You're not feeling your back working, you're feeling your bicep working. But instead, if you focus on driving your shoulder and your elbow back at the same time, you're not feeling that bicep engaging. It's kind of, just kind of like a wet noodle right there. You're engaging your back. So you're still going to get some back engagement in rows, but make sure you're focusing on driving your shoulder and your elbow back at the same time. I teach people at the gym, think of mixed martial arts. Somebody's behind you and you want to jack them up. That's how you should be doing your pulling exercises, in my opinion. All right. Let me grab a drink here and get to Dwayne Harper's question. Just a note, if I miss your question, it's YouTube, not me. So YouTube sometimes gets glitchy. If I miss your question, post it up again. I will try to answer. Let's see. Dwayne Harper, how much volume do you need per week? A moderate amount of volume. Generally, if as a beginner to early intermediate, 12 to 15 sets really worked hard is going to be good enough. And then after you reach that intermediate stage, you can add volume if you need to. Excuse me. But if you're working 12 to 15 sets hard and appropriately, you probably don't need much through the early intermediate stage, or even intermediate stage. You can ride progression in that range for a long time. Just a reminder, guys, I have a new members only section. It's only $199. Hit the join button. Come on over. I got different benefits for different levels. Members only content. I have about, 8 videos on there now. I'll be doing more once I get back from Scotland. And there's also some really good benefits. I put stuff up on here in the members only section that I generally don't or can't talk about, on Massive Iron. So check that out. And if you need coaching, head over to Instagram @BenTheBarman, and send me an inquiry. All right, Luke Newcomb. Thoughts on using strongman implements only for building strength and muscle? Uh, I've often said, if you give me any limited group of equipment, I can find a way to maximize it. As long as you have some degree of ability to progressively overload, you could do it. With that said, some pieces of strongman are going to be limiting. You could use like the log, like the log press thing. You could do rows with that. You could do overhead presses. That's a good thing. You could probably do bench on that. But I don't like the idea of, as I mentioned earlier in this video, why? Why are you trying to build muscle and strength with only that? Don't do that. Use conventional methods. That's your best way. Conventional methods. But if that's the only thing on earth you have, then yeah, you could find a way to do it. You just have to get creative and do a lot of calculus. Fabian, had you ever got shoulder, rotator cuff injury? I've never had a rotator cuff injury. I had a shoulder injury one time at work. I was lifting an empty barrel, and I tore my left shoulder. And it took me about 6 months to slowly build back up from the bar. Next week, 50 pounds. Next week, 55. I mean, it was slow. I think I had a 10 pounds per week. But yeah, I've had a shoulder injury, not a rotator cuff injury. A tear. I've had 2 tears in my life. One non-workout related. That was my shoulder. And one workout related. That was my hamstring. And you have to move them very slowly daily to help them heal properly. But I've not had any non-tear injuries. So let's see.
I was ready.
My wife's laughing about something. What are you laughing about?
Shazza put up, going back to your ex is like reheating Macca's fries.
Going back to your ex is like reheating old French fries. All right. Ultima. Whereabouts in Scotland are you? We are in Ullapool. Yesterday we were on Isle of Skye. We conquered just about everything in Isle of Skye, and the day before we were in Fort William. Tomorrow we're headed to Durness, and then after that John O'Groats the next night. Super Bowl prediction. I want to hear you guys' Super Bowl prediction. Tell me who you think is going to win. After watching Kansas City, a couple games, and that's the only 2 games I've seen them this year, but in the playoffs, they look pretty darn strong. So I would not be surprised to see Kansas City just roll tonight. I would not be surprised to see something like 49-21, Kansas City just rolling big, but we'll see. It's going to be interesting. Perseverance. Speaking of deadlifts, before the injury, I got 530 for 5 reps at age 21. That's brilliant. That's strong work. My ultimate goal is to get an 8-plate deadlift. Is this realistic? No, no, it's not realistic. It's not realistic. And I'm not saying that, to be a downer, but a 4-plate deadlift is 405. A 5-plate is 495 for those keeping score at home. A 6-plate is a 585. Wait, 4 is 405. 5 is 495, 6 is 585, 7 is 675, and 8 is 765. It will take you. The thing to understand with lifting is to go from where you at to where you are now usually goes pretty quickly. To go from where you're at now to the next step can take a lot longer. So I would say a realistic goal is 600, 650. But once you get past 600, it's rare air. The competitions I've been in, despite what you see on the internet, there's only a handful of guys at each really big competition pulling above 600. You give above 700, man, you are in the top. So don't focus on that. Focus on 5 pounds at a time, staying healthy, and just see what you can do. It's a long road. You got to stay healthy.
Want me to get you anything?
No, I'm good. My wife is going to make sure you are fully dressed. She's kind of half dressed. So yeah, be careful. Don't get your ass on Instagram or on YouTube. Let me just block her. I got to block her. Yeah. She's going to be super naughty. All right. Where was I at here? Chiefs. Mrs. Hermanson said Chiefs. See, Fabian. Running and squatting kills my knees. Would you consider reducing slightly the range of motion? On squats, you mean not squatting as deep? No. The first thing you want to do if squatting is killing your knees is have somebody analyze your form. You got to have somebody that knows what they're doing to take a look at your form, because if squats are killing your knees, there's a good chance, barring that you have some kind of other knee injury going on, that you need some form tweaks done. So I would have somebody look at your form. If you want me to look at your form, head over to my website, superlivingtoday.com, and I do an exercise form assessment. I'll do a complete assessment, get you on track. But don't if your squats are hurting your knees, you don't want to go higher unless you're super low, trying to go ass to grass way below the Mason-Dixon line, if that helps at all. All right, what you got?
I don't know.
My wife's got a Somerset cider. I got to open it for her, so hold on
I
a
drank
second.
this one. It was really good, like really good.
Yep, I got it open.
You're holding the plug?
Yeah, we
It went over there.
Okay, we got it open. Sorry about that. Let's see. What's the best way? Sorry about the delay. Keep the questions coming. Graham Fraser, what's the best way to deload? Take a week off or still go and lift lighter? I don't like to deload. I like to keep deloading intuitive. Over the course of a year, I don't like to plan days off unless I am doing an overreaching, over peaking stage or peaking stage. So what I like to save my time away from the gym for is vacation. We've only been able to work out twice in the last 8 days. When you're sick, when life events come up where you need to take off a couple days to sort shit out or go to a wedding or whatever, or when your body feels like crap. If your body feels like crap, it's probably a good idea to take a day off. If you still feel like crap, take another day off. So I personally like to keep deloads intuitive. I like to take time off when I'm sick or take time off when I feel beat up. But if I feel beat up, I'm not going to say I'm just going to take a week off. I don't like to do that. I say I'm going to take tomorrow off, see how I feel. If I still feel like shit, then I'll take the next day off as well. So I hope that helps some. That's just the way I approach it. Paul, greetings from Vancouver. Hey, Vancouver, Canada. Hope things are well. Rick McRae, I'm 48. Is it too old to build significant muscle? I'm going to tell you this, okay? Rick, I started endurance running at the age of 51. Is that too old to become an endurance runner? Some might say so, but I've run in the past year 5 marathons, 350Ks, and 100K. So is that too old to start? No. It's not too old at all. Take care of yourself, eat right, slow, steady progression. Don't overdo the volume, and you can absolutely build muscle. There's this belief we have because of our grandfathers and our fathers that didn't take care of themselves very well, that as you get old, you're just a sack of crap. You're just a bag of shit. Excuse my honesty, but it doesn't have to be that way. But the older that you get, the more you have to focus on refining what you eat and being smart about your training and living to fight another day. So you can absolutely build muscle. I've seen women in their 60s. I've done transformation stories of women in their 60s that look phenomenal. So yeah, you can absolutely do it. CED. All right, let me get a beverage. Or a sip from my beverage. I'm wondering if my rear delt work are getting enough, or my rear delts are getting enough work. The only movements I do are the big 3, plus overheads, chin-ups, pendlay rows, and 1 bicep tricep. It might not hurt to stick in a few sets of face pulls. You got nothing to lose. The rear delts are worked with rows, any form of rows, but it also helps because in this day and age, we're sitting so much that we tend to slouch, and it's just a good idea to do some rear delt work. You don't have to obsess about it and do a billion sets, but adding a little bit in probably wouldn't be a bad idea. All right, guys, keep the questions coming. Ultima Solutions on not being able to do deadlifts. Gym I go to has a foundational issue, and at home the foundation again isn't strong. Any ideas on replacing movements, bent over rows, rack pulls? You can do Romanian deadlifts, but don't overdo them. A couple sets of Romanian deadlifts. Um, you can do a lot of rows, get your rows really strong. You can't really replace deadlifts, but in the absence of deadlifts, you can do things like Romanian deadlifts and Dimmel deadlifts, things to get your lower back strong. But those are more hamstring and lower back centric, where the deadlifts come, bring in more of the upper back stuff, the more of the lats and traps and that sort of thing. So, in the absence of deadlifts, I would just up your row game substantially. Barbell rows, pendley rows, dumbbell rows, seated cable rows. Obviously, lat pull downs and pull ups if you can do them. Up your back game substantially, and don't forget your power shruggies. Dwayne, how would rest pause work with 12 to 15 sets per week? That, my friend, it would require me to design a workout. Rest pause, there's many ways to do rest pause. You can do block training, where you do a 2 to 3 minute set of as many reps as possible. You can do 100 rep sets, 50 rep sets, which I do for which I often advise for clients. You can do stuff like bulldozer training, which I've advocated. There's many, many ways to do it. But when you incorporate rest pause work into the mix, it's not about overall sets, because it changes the dynamic. So you really need to let somebody experienced with rest pause work help you design a workout. And I know that's very generic, but that's the best advice I can give you. I'd be happy to look at a program. I'd be happy to design a program for you, but it's hard in this context, of a live video, to kind of give you some variables with rest pause training, because there's a million ways to do it. If you're going to do it on primary lifts, there's one way. If you're going to do it as finishers, there's another way. If you're going to do it for everything, there's a certain way to do it. So, I like to, you can go in and do big compound movements, and then you can do block sets, 2 to 3 minute block sets for everything afterwards. You can do like bulldozer training on your big compound movements. Something I do on deadlifts is every minute on the minute, six sets by 2, 6 sets by 3 to help you focus on form. A lot of ways to do it. So I'm really not certain that helps, but let's see. Jim Hart, how to start running for an out of shape guy. First thing you need to know is if you are carrying around a lot of weight, you need to get that weight off, or else you're going to beat the living crap out of your body. The next running tips I have: when at all possible, do not run on pavement. Run on a trail. Sounds counterintuitive, because trails have that little roller coaster thing, ups and downs and roots and rocks and mud and all that kind of stuff. But your body will feel much better. Today, we were forced to run 13K on pavement, and I feel like I got thrown out of a truck. So don't run on pavement if you can. Don't run on a treadmill if you can. Don't force the speed. Let the speed come to you. And run at a conversational pace. Run at a pace where you can hold a conversation, where you're not out of breath. And don't worry about if you have to run a little bit, walk a little bit, run a little bit. Don't force it. Just be consistent, and everything will take care of itself. But if you are overweight, get that weight down. Paul DeVito's prediction is 28-14 Kansas City. I think Kansas City is going to take it, but in my opinion, that might be a little light on points, but we'll see. Denhart, hey, big, hairy, ugly dude. Big fan of your power building stuff. Thank you for your support, sir. Also enjoying the cigar videos, but you haven't been doing them lately. Did you quit smoking cigars? No, I just don't have time.
I bought you 2.
I'm in Scotland. I got two Cubans.
Yes. Cigars.
But you know what? The weather's absolute crap, and I wish I could smoke them. But yeah, I do. I am a big cigar guy. I don't smoke as often as I'd like to. Honestly, with running 2 days a week, or 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, I really don't have as much time as I used to. Thoughts on the program and Sons? Not sure what that is. Sorry. Maybe you can send me a link on Instagram at Ben the Barman. Bruce Bronson, $10 donation. Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate that. I sincerely do. Cheers. Drinks on the house. What do you think about cycling 2 workouts of 10 to 20 reps on compounds? Okay, so cycling 2 workouts. You have 10 to 20 reps on compounds, followed by a strength workout of sets of 2 reps with 4 to 5 rep max weight. Would this be helpful or unnecessary? Basically, you're looking at nonlinear periodization. You're looking at lower rep work or lower intensity work with higher reps, and then a little bit higher intensity work with lower reps. In principle, that's a really good way to work things. Don't think of it as strength training and hypertrophy training. Think of it as working the body in different rep ranges, because that has value. Now, I would not go below, there's no need to go below 5 rep sets. Okay, there's no need. And if you are if you're an advanced lifter with a lot of strength already, there can be some value in going below that. But that will be for a specific purpose, maybe a peaking program, that sort of thing. But don't go below that. If you want to cycle between, like nonlinear periodization, between less intense stuff, meaning 65% of your 1 rep max for reps, and then the next week 80% of your 80% of your 1 rep max for 5 rep sets. I like that, because it takes some of the pressure off your body. You're not doing heavy work every week, and I think that's a great idea. I've designed many programs like this over the years to varying degrees. One of the things I like to do is to switch between more volume work 1 week and a little bit heavier work the next week, or rest pause 1 week and volume the next. So there's many ways to do it, but cycling intensity, and intensity is weight relative to your 1 rep max, is generally a good thing, especially once you hit the intermediate stage of lifting. So I hope that helps some. The original Rizik. Have you tried haggis? We've tried it twice. We tried it our first day here at the Royal Highland Hotel for breakfast, and we tried to order it a second time, but they're at the back bar in somewhere Scotland. They were out. And then we tried haggis bonbons today.
I don't know what they are. Still haven't looked at.
Yeah, so we've tried haggis twice. Toby Rollins. Hey, big, hairy, ugly dude, do you have any tips for people with lagging arms? My chest, back, etc. Development is not much better than friends who have 15, 16-inch arms, yet I only have 13-inch arms. The first thing is focus on your triceps. Focus on your triceps. I have you want to do close grip benches. You want to do cable tricep extensions. You want to do something called skull destroyers. Search my channel for skull destroyers, and if you can't find a video, basically skull destroyers are 40 to 50 rep rest pause sets where you get an easy bar and you do 3 reps of extensions. You're lying down on your back, and then 3 reps of close grip bench. Sorry, I'm drinking a little beer. So you alternate between 3 reps of lying tricep extensions and then 3 reps of close grip bench, and you do those until you can reach 40 or 50 reps. That's a good finisher. But for bigger arms, you want to focus on your triceps first and foremost. That's your beef. Triceps can take a lot of beating, so you might want to train them twice a week, but you definitely want to get those strong AF. You want to get your triceps strong AF. That's the foundation of bigger arms. It probably wouldn't hurt to have somebody look at your programming that knows your programming. If you want me to look at it, you can send me the workout at Instagram at Ben the Barman, or email it to me, benthebarman@gmail.com, and I can tell you kind of if your volume's okay, or if your strength levels are lagging, or if you have enough tricep work, etc. But focus on your triceps. Mr. Noko sign, intensity versus volume. Intensity versus volume. That's a non-question, because there are basically 3 points of a triangle. I'm not being dismissive, but you have volume, intensity, and frequency. Those are 3 points of a triangle, of the training triangle. When you raise volume, you either have to lower intensity or lower frequency. So there's a balance that goes on, and we're speaking in general terms. If you raise intensity or weight relative to your 1 rep max, you probably have to pull back on volume. So it's not volume versus intensity. When you raise volume, you lower intensity. When you raise When you lower volume, you raise intensity, if that makes sense. Paul DeVito. I've been struggling with a back pain lately, and I think it's because of using Smith machines. Should I avoid them? The only thing you really want to use a Smith machine for is inverted rows or a coat rack. Honestly, there's the Smith machine takes a lot of hate, but in all honesty, it takes natural compound movements and forces them into into a fixed plane instead of a natural movement. So I strongly suggest pretending the Smith machine doesn't exist. And instead, there's too many other good compound movements in the gym that you could be doing. So I would focus on them instead. I hope that helps. Sebastian, what's the most effective training split to maximize volume? The most effective training split to maximize volume. Some of this depends on your level of experience. Volume is something you want to get into as an early intermediate or intermediate lifter. So as you're transitioning to an intermediate lifter, it's probably easier to do volume with more training days. Full body 3 days a week, you might want to move away from that and do an AB type of split 3 to 4 days a week. So that's the next step as far as adding more volume. The AB split I use, and I use a 4 workout block: upper A, upper B, posterior A, posterior B. For upper workouts, I have chest, shoulders, and arms. For posterior, I have legs and back. So that's the next step of adding more volume. Use this protocol if you want to use an upper or an AB type of split. Beyond that, if you're at an intermediate stage and you want to do more volume, the next evolution is a bro split. Some are very dismissive of bro splits, but if you want to add volume, that's your wheelhouse. And if you've already added a lot of strength, then adding more volume in the context of a bro split will allow you more recovery. And that's the next step, in my opinion. And you can do a lot with bro splits. You can do rest pause work. You can add more volume. And you know what? Despite what all the science says, as long as your head and your heart are in the right place, you're going to make amazing gains no matter what type of program you're doing. And with a bro split, you just get a little bit more recovery. So I hope that helps some. Joshua, NG. Is it a bad idea to work out low-key sore? Did quads yesterday and some hamstrings today, but glutes are kind of sore. No, it's not a bad idea. I squatted. What day did we squat when we were in Fort William? 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
And then the next day we did 5 or 6 different hikes, and it was killing me. Usually there's a good chance that soreness is not muscular, that it is the fascia tissue that is in and around a muscle or group of muscles. So movement will actually help. If you're ever really stiff, that's generally the fascia or connective tissue in and around a muscle. And when you move that, kind of stretch or move it around, that soreness goes away. So don't worry about soreness. The fascia or connective tissue has 9 times more, I believe 9 times more sensory neurons. So it's more susceptible to pain and that type of feeling. So generally, most of the muscle soreness you're feeling isn't muscular in nature. It's the fascia or connective tissue around a muscle. Absolutely, it's okay to work out. If you have really acute, sharp, tremendous pain, like you did something super boneheaded, where you went into the gym and you did 40 sets for biceps, and you're like, I can't touch my nose. That type of overdose of soreness, you probably need to keep your ass out of the gym for a while, and and just do a little bit more recovery, eat a little bit more food, take a nice hot bath, put on some candlelight, watch a little Twilight, get the full recovery. Yeah, that was a little bit weird, awkward. Philo 68.
Like, what the?
Yeah, it's just an old joke. Women would put on candles and take a bubble bath and watch Twilight, and it'd be like, oh, I need a glass of wine and to shake my titties. I'm good, right? Philo 68. You just reminded me. Get a 6-pack of beer for the Super Bowl. Yep, get it now because it's about to run out. Let's see, winner. I live in Scotland too. Are you in Glasgow? No, I am in. We pass through. We're in Ullapool.
Nah, we are like ages from there.
We're in Ullapool.
We went to Fort Wayne,
We went to Fort
Isle
William,
of
Isle of
Skye.
Skye. We're in Ullapool tonight. Durness tomorrow night. The night after that, John O'Groats, and then the night after that, we are in Inverness and headed out.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be a sad day because absolutely I'm loving this trip. Keep the questions coming, guys. Peter Knutson. And if I'm talking too fast, I'm just trying to get through everybody's questions and be respectful. Peter Knutson, having problems with biceps, training normally, doing 4 sets with at least 6 reps every set lately, not same strength, trying on same weight. Should I deload or continue with few reps? I'm going to tell you, Peter, 6 reps is a little bit low for biceps. I'd probably kick them up a little bit. If you're struggling to progress, the next step I usually recommend for people is to try one of two things: to either increase the reps per set, because that'll lower the intensity and it's easier to add a rep when you're doing more reps per set. If you're doing 6 reps per set or you're doing 10 reps per set, it's generally easier to add a rep when you're doing 10 reps per set. So I would probably raise the reps per set a little bit. You can also try volume training or rest pause training or block training. I didn't mean volume. I meant rest pause or block training. Like if you're doing easy bar curls, um, see how many reps you can get in using rest pause, safe quality reps in 2 minutes. Let's say you get 24 with a weight. Do 2 sets of those. You do 24. The next 2 minute block, you get 22. That's 46 total reps. The next time in the gym, just try to beat that. So rest pause, implementing block training for rest pause work is a really good way of trying to attack progression when progression is stalling, because it increases the amount of variables, and it just gives you a chance to gird up your big juicy testicles and attack a little bit. But generally you probably see, if you do like block training, that you'll experience some small progression. So sometimes just making that switch to higher reps, or maybe even a style like block training, might open the door to a little bit more progression. So give it a try. Elias, thoughts on or advice on increasing overhead press. Number one, get your triceps as strong as humanly possible. A lot of triceps work. A lot of triceps work. Get your triceps strong.
Triceps are really, really, really easy to get strong.
Yeah,
They're very
attack your
strong
triceps.
things.
And I've mentioned this before. You want to do 2 overhead press variations a week, a dumbbell on a barbell, usually 8 reps per set, and do that for a long period of time and attack progression. That would be my base. That would be my base. Tricep strength and 2 overhead press variations: seated, standing, barbell, dumbbell, single arm. For dumbbells, doesn't really matter, but don't go too low on those. Get some low on those. Get some volume in. Dwayne, thanks. It helps. I only knew of one rest pause. How do I find out how much you charge for private lessons? Dwayne, you can head over to my website, superlivingtoday.com. I have all kinds of services. Full-on coaching, full-on power building coaching or weight loss coaching is only $80 per month. And, if you just need like an exercise form assessment or a workout assessment or something like that, that's less. And that's a one-time fee. I can build you a workout. I have a workout building service. I have an exercise form assessment service, etc. So my website is superlivingtoday.com. Any guys have any questions, please go onto my Instagram at Ben the Barman, at Ben the Barman. TJL, who is a member, please join. For those of you that are not, I was looking at your coaching plans and noticed there are different options. For someone who wants to mix training for ultra and lifting, what option do you recommend? Basically, there's whatever type of training you sign up with, whatever type of coaching you sign up with me, I'm gonna give you whatever you need, like exercise form assessment, nutrition, building a workout, doesn't matter. It's just that some people only need fat loss, so I provide a weight loss coaching service for those that don't want me involved into their exercise world, if that makes sense. But I will do anything for any client, whatever they need, 100%. The only thing I don't do is tell you what to meal prep, because I don't like to say, eat 1 chicken breast for dinner, eat 7 peas for dinner, that sort of thing. with that said, I will help you completely with nutrition. So it doesn't really matter. The main difference for folks on my site is you can do the $80 per month, or you can do the $199 up front and then $50 per month. If you think you're going to want to be with me in long term, you want the accountability, it's better to pay the $199 up front and then have the $50 per month after, because you'll start saving after a few months. So, but whatever type of training you're interested in, if you need endurance training and lifting, it doesn't really matter. I'll help you with whatever you need. So just hit me up if you have any questions. Stephen Damora, how do you figure out where to grip the bar for bench press and close grip bench press? Very good question. Now, I'm not sure if you guys can see this, but what you want to do for bench press, a good starting point, you don't want to be here. Your arms are flared. You want your wrists about over your elbows. That's a good starting. This is just a starting point. It's not a rule for everybody. So let's understand that. Wrists over your elbows, not flared. You're going to drop it down to about 45 degrees or 50 degrees, about right here. That's about your starting point for the bench. See that? Wrists over elbows. You don't want wrists inside of elbows, because you're going to get that shoulder rotation, that internal shoulder rotation that's going to put stress. So start here, wrists over elbows, drop it down to about there, and make sure your wrists are over your elbows, not inside. You can move it out a little bit if you want. I do, if it feels better. For close grip, it's the same thing, wrists over elbows, but you're going to drop it down pretty much to here. Your wrists are going to stay over your elbows. So it's just a little bit different from here to here on close grip. It's not like this, because if you do close grip like this, you're going to get that elbow rotation. It's going to strain your shoulders, and you do not want that. So I hope that helps some. DS, let me get some beer.
Do you want me to grab it?
Nah, I've been sipping this slowly, but thank you, baby. DS, thoughts on using a Swiss bar, football bar, for bench press? If you have one, yeah, I'm a big fan of alternating movement patterns. So I would probably suggest doing a bench press and a Swiss bar, or a Swiss bar and a dumbbell bench, using two variations. Either, alternating week in and week out is a good way to do it. But yeah, that's a good tool. Give it a try, see if you like it. If you're not in it to win it, for powerlifting or bodybuilding, you just want a power build, I would definitely play around with it and see what you think. Damian Margison, how high or below 2,700 calories should I go? Can't answer that at all. And I'm not being dismissive, but I have some clients that need 1,600 calories a day, 1,800 calories a day, and I have some that require 4,500 a day. It's highly individual. I don't know your goals. I don't know, your metabolism. And I'm not being dismissive, but it's just a number. And I can't help you without knowing more information. Let's see. Wan Yu, how's it going? She is a client of mine, and I got to tell you, she's one of my favorite clients. Wan Yu, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name correctly, just started really attacking resistance training this year, and she is doing everything right. She's a perfect client. And I tell my wife this all the time, that I wish everybody would have her work ethic. She just goes in and crushes it. And she's getting super strong very, very quickly.
She's a machine.
She's a machine. And she's starting to pass up. Yeah, she's starting to pass up men. So I just want to give a shout out to her, because I'm very proud of her.
Yes.
Andy Deans, welcome to Scotland. Thank you, sir. Perseverance. How can you properly distinguish CNS recovery and muscle fiber recovery? I don't know. CNS recovery, if something feels heavy, the next time you're going to attack a lift, you probably have a central nervous system issue. That's very rare, though. I've only had that happen a couple of times. Sometimes illness will trigger it, and sometimes your body is just destroyed, like after a meet or after a hard movement. So when you are in the gym and you're warming up and something feels unusually heavy, it's generally your central nervous system. You got to be really careful at that point. Add a few extra warm-up sets, or just stop and give yourself a little bit extra CNS recovery. Tosh, I can only hit the gym 3 days a week. 3 is plenty. How do I split it up? Push, pull legs, upper, lower. Here's what I do for a lot of my clients. And I mentioned this earlier. 4 workouts, okay? And you rotate between these workouts. Upper A, posterior A, upper B, posterior B. Your upper workouts are chest, shoulders, and arms, biceps and triceps. Your lower workouts or posterior workouts are legs and back. So you do upper, posterior, upper, posterior. So that's one of my favorite ways to train 3 days a week. And you can be flexible. You can squeeze in a 4-day week protocol if you want. All right, guys, I'm 55 minutes in. If you got a question, post it now because I'm going to be unplugging soon unless I get some more questions. So, Damien, thanks for the help. Have a great day. You bet. Well, I'll wait to see if there's any more questions. Just a reminder, you guys can head over to superlivingtoday.com, superlivingtoday.com, pick up some Massive Iron t-shirts. If you need any help with coaching or services, head over there. I have all my books, all my ebooks, and my courses, my bench press course, all that kind of good stuff. As well as if you need coaching, head over to Instagram at Ben the Barman, at Ben the Barman. I appreciate everybody's support, and I am out of here. Have a good evening, and enjoy watching the Super Bowl.